Hello? How are we doing? Tell me if you can hear me, Pakaya. Angie, someone please let me know if you're hearing me. I deleted that. So let me know if you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Can anyone hear me? Please say yes. Tell me something. How are we doing? We were interrupted before, so I'll need to know whether someone can hear me. Please let me know. It's good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, now I'm ready to go again. I apologize for that. All right, so we'll just start again tonight, and we're all going to go for our normal 30-minute in this Bible study. If you have to leave early, then you can catch up with us. All right. Ready to go? So let's get started with tonight's Bible study. And if it gets interrupted, someone please give me some type of signal. Let me know if we lose a signal. I apologize for that. All right, so tonight's Bible study is going to come from 2 Samuel, the 12th chapter, verse 16 through 23. Okay? 2 Samuel, 12th chapter, verse 16 to 23. If you follow along, Minister Jackson, please post that for us. Tonight's subject is going to be non-relinquishing faith. We're going to look at the subject of non-relinquishing faith. All right? Thank you, Pastor London, for coming in my office and letting me know that we were not broadcasting. I was in a zone earlier, and I was really going. She said, no one hears you. So thank you very much for doing that. So here we go. 2 Samuel, the 16th chapter, verse 16 through 23 is what we're going to look at. Again, the topic is non-relinquishing faith. Now, let me tell you what non-relinquishing faith is before we go any further. Non-relinquishing faith is that type of faith that comes when you're in moments of emotional devastation. Moments of emotional devastation. All right? When things are devastating and it's playing on your emotion, that's when you're going to need non-relinquishing faith. Now, I know all you holy rollers, you're saved, hallelujah, filled with the Holy Ghost, sanctified, speaking in tongues. I got that. But some of us still find ourselves in a situation where our emotions get the best of us, where we find ourselves in challenging emotional situations. It doesn't matter why we're there, how we got there, whose fault, who did it, who didn't do it. When emotional trauma comes after us, it really pushes most of us. And so I want to talk to that group of people tonight. If you're not one of those people who gets pushed by emotional trauma, then this lesson won't do you very, very much good. But that's where David found himself in this chapter. All right. His son is about to die, and he's expecting death, although he wants life. He's expecting death, but wants life. Sometimes we find ourselves in emotional situations where we expect the best, but it's looking like the worst. Okay. We expect things to work out, but it looked like it just might not. That will push our faith buttons. And that's where David is now. Okay. When he finds that his son's about to die, regardless of whose fault it is, that's emotional. That's a lot of emotional trauma. And we're going to look at what happens here, and we're going to leave you with a definition of what we call non-relinquishing faith. That is that faith that you won't let go of in the midst of extreme emotional trauma or where there's an emotional disaster about to hit. All right? Got it? Now, let's take a look, and we're going to read this. We're going to read this tonight in what's called the ESV version, English Standard Version. That's just the version I chose to use because I like the way it read for reading purposes. Ready to go? Here it is. David, therefore, knowing his son's going to die, David, therefore, sought the Lord on behalf of the child. And David fasted and went in and laid all night on the ground. Now, the child here represents something that's birthed out of David, something that was precious to David. It's birthed out of David and it's precious to David. Sometime in our lives, we will find ourselves about to lose something that's very precious to us. Could be a career, could be a physical loved one. It could be an automobile, could be you losing your finance, could be losing your faith, your health. You will find yourself in a situation like that. Those things will play on your emotions. They will press you. This child was precious, birthed out of David, therefore precious to David. There may be something precious to you, and you find yourself in a situation where it looks like you're going to lose it. You're going to need non-relinquishing faith. All right? Watch this now. laid on the ground, and the elders of his house stood beside him to raise him from the ground. But he would not, nor would he eat food with them. In order, David here now, he has humbled himself as best he know how. Plus, his emotions are getting the best of him. There are a lot of people don't feel like eating. It's real practical not to want to eat, okay, when some emotional things get on you. This is really hard on David, and it can be hard on anyone when you're losing something that was very precious to you, okay? For an artist to hurt his hand, an artist who paints, to lose his hand is devastating to the artist. For musicians, not be able to hear the sounds and the tones in their heads is devastating to them. For a dancer, not to be able to dance across the stage is devastating. I'm a scientist, and frankly, I enjoy science. I enjoy being in a lab. I am no longer physically involved in research in a laboratory. For me, it really plays on me emotionally because I really love it. That's my craft. That's my art. You get it? So you'll find yourself in situations where there's emotional stress on you because of something you're about to lose. Sometimes you're about to lose people from your family. Perhaps you see people who are walking away from the faith, and that can be emotionally devastating. So he didn't feel like eating, okay? Plus, he was humbling himself. On the seventh day, the child died. On the seventh day, that which David held precious died. You got it? That phase of his life, that season, has now ended. Non-relinquishing faith tends to happen in very clear seasons. Now, I don't want to overuse the term seasons because you have people just misusing and abusing it. Every time someone, oh, must be my season. They do stupid stuff. Oh, must be my season. You know, they miss a bus. Oh, must be my season. Everything ain't your season. You get it? But this really was a season, a period in David's life. By the way, you could tell a season is always defined by some clear, either prophetic voice or by some clear time frame. Okay? All right? So here it is. So this is clearly past. It's ended. And the servants of David were afraid to tell him that the child was dead, for they said, behold, while the child is yet alive, we spoke to him, and he did not listen to us. How then can we say to him that the child is dead? He may do something to harm himself. Here's something you'll need to know about people with non-relinquishing faith. They seek no harm even to themselves. They always seek the best that God is offering to them in that period of time, in that season. Now, but it is natural for them to think that David might do this. Because you see, when they saw David in this emotional condition, they assumed that he had lost his faith. And sometimes when people see saved people in emotional states, they say to them, you must have lost your faith. What's wrong with your faith? There's nothing wrong with their faith. They're just going through a very tough emotional situation. But they still have non-relinquishing faith because they keep moving. You get it? It may be a little slow, but they keep moving. But watch what happens when they recognize the season has ended. When they recognize the season has ended, here's what happened. But when David saw the servants and David said to the servants, is the child dead? They said he is dead. Then David arose from the earth, washed and anointed himself, and changed his clothes. When the season is over for those with non-relinquishing faith, they show it in their next actions, in their next attitude, in their next walk. They refuse to walk in their new season in the old way. I'm going to say that again. People with non-relinquishing faith refuse to walk in their new season the old way. You were in a lot of pain yesterday. The season ended yesterday. Get up and walk fresh. Okay? That's what people with non-relinquishing faith realize, that they get to walk fresh when the new season starts. It's not easy, but faith says this is what they do. Non-relinquishing faith says, walk new. Some of you have been through some very bad seasons in your life. It's time for you to forget them, get up and walk new. You don't like what happened. What happened wasn't good. And by the way, sometimes the residuals of that last season will follow you. This story of David followed him the rest of his life. It may follow you the rest of your life. Here's the key. Even though it's following you, it doesn't dominate you. I'll say that again. Even though the residuals are following you, it doesn't dominate you. Get it? Don't let the past pains of the old season dominate your new life. Non-relinquishing faith will show you how to do that. Don't let it do it. Okay? All right, so he got up, put on some clothes, and went into the house and worshiped. He went into the house, and now he is confirming and affirming his relationship with God. He's affirming that I have not lost my relationship with God. I still know about my relationship with God, and my relationship with God is not going away. People with non-relinquishing faith make sure that they show evidence and a testimony that they still have a relationship with God, even though that past season was painful. And the residuals of it are still there. And you still remember them. You don't forget them. Okay? They're still there. But you choose to walk forward in your relationship with God. All right. So he then went into his house and he asked them to fix him some food, and he ate. Then the servant said to him, "What is this thing you've done? You fasted and wept for the child while he was alive. But when the child died, you arose and ate food." He said, "While the child was still alive, I fasted and wept, for I said, who knows whether God is going to be gracious to me that the child may live." Here's what happens to those with non-relinquishing faith. In the midst of the worst circumstances, they still petition God. They still believe God might turn this around. They still expect God to turn around, and they refuse to act anything differently. People with non-relinquishing faith, you never hear them stand and say, "Well, God, whatever happens, it would have happened, must have been what you meant for it to be," because that's what happened. People with non-relinquishing faith always believe that God is going to give them special favor. If no one else gets it, they're going to get the favor that gets them out of the circumstance. If no one else makes it out of circumstance, people with non-relinquishing faith believe they will. And the season has to close before they'll ever change that position. So if your season is still open, don't you stop petitioning God. Don't stop because it looks like the end's coming. You petition God until after the end. And so that's why David could do this, because he believed that God could and still might turn it around. You have to start to walk in your life and believe the same thing, that God just might turn this around. Got it? It is emotionally heavy on you, very emotionally heavy on you. So much so you're feeling it physically. Expect God to still step in. The season's still open. You keep looking for it. All right? All right, let's see what else can we tell you. Let me finish reading this. And he said, who knows whether God would graciously turn it around? Here it is, verse 23. But now he is dead. Now that season has closed. That thing which was precious to me, I don't have it anymore. I used to be able to sing, but the season of my singing is gone now. I used to have extremely good health. That season of my best health is gone now. I'm going to take the health I have now, and I'm going to praise the Lord with it. I'm going to take the voice I have now, and I'm going to glorify God with it. I used to have more money then, and I could do more things. I don't have that season anymore. So I'm going to take the money I have and glorify God with it. That has to be people with non-relinquishing faith. I used to have a very large congregation. I don't have it anymore. So I'm going to take the congregation I have and grow it before the Lord. I used to have a fine career. Don't have it anymore. But I'm going to take the career I do have and glorify God with it. I used to have a very handsome man, but now he's getting a little old and his hair is falling out. He's got a pot belly and can barely walk. He won't even wear nice looking suits and clothes anymore. That's okay. I'm going to take that ugly fella and I'm going to glorify God for him. That's what people with non-relinquishing faith would do. They take what they have and they move forward with it and they give God the glory. That's what David is doing here. Okay? Can I bring him back again? We only can walk forward. We can't walk back. People with non-relinquishing faith recognize that. It almost seems sometimes when they reach this point like they're heartless. They are not heartless. They recognize that they cannot reverse. They can't get it back. What's done is done. I have to take where I am now with the residuals of it that might follow you the rest of your life. Listen, there are some residual things that happen in your life and in your family. They're just going to be with you. If you were embarrassed last week about them, well, guess what? Even though it's the season ended, somebody's going to bring it up and embarrass you with them again. Move on. It's in it for you. Don't worry about it. That just goes with the territory. People with non-relinquishing faith, they stand up as if it never happened before. They live as if it's new today, every day. Someone brings up bad stuff, they don't worry about it. They move on. So here it is. I shall go to him, but watch this. This is important. Last part of verse 23. Watch this. I shall go to him, but he will not return to me. But he will not return to me. There are some things that happen in this life that we cannot get back. But people with non-relinquishing faith recognize that, respect the season, and they move forward from where they are. That's what you have to do. Learn how to take your non-relinquishing faith, that faith that you won't give up, you won't turn it in. So that's what non-relinquishing means. You won't turn it in. Okay? It's not like a rental movie or rental car. You're not turning this faith in that you have, regardless of the emotional trauma. You get it? All right. So with that, let me give you some pointers about non-relinquishing faith. Okay? I want to leave you with some pointers here now about non-relinquishing faith from my own commentary. And so we don't have any copyright issues here at all. All right? Ready to go? Let's see. What can we say? All right. Yeah. And I think I've already mentioned this, that non-relinquishing faith is for the season of heavy-hearted distress. You need non-relinquishing faith in that season of heavy-hearted distress. Notice I'm talking about emotions here. I am. I'm not talking about the physical. Although, if you're having physical problems, it can emotionally affect you. You get it? All right? So it's hard to separate physical from emotional. But what happens with those non-relinquishing faith, they recognize that the emotion that's carrying them out of tune or out of spirit with God is not exactly the physical. In other words, that I can't sing bothers me now. That I can't walk bothers me so much now until I start to feel like and believe that I cannot be effective for the Lord. Get it? That's where it plays on the emotion. So it's emotional distress. All right? Yeah. Non-relinquishing faith is needed when the outcome seems to be one where it's sure devastation. So you'll need it then. And there will be some thing in your life where it just look like it's just going to be devastating. Things aren't going to work out. You'll need non-relinquishing faith for that period of time. All right? And the real challenge here that you have to ask yourself is, can you hold to your faith in the face of sure emotional devastation? Can you hold your faith in the face of sure emotional devastation? It's not quite exactly the enemy attacking you. It's just that life is running its course. Sometimes when life starts running its course, we get caught in the flow of life running its course, and things just happen. Society changes its values and moral values. We all get caught in the flow of those. Okay. When you find yourself in situations where things that used to be wrong now become right, you get caught in the emotional flow of it all. Okay. All right. You follow? I'm not making statements of right and wrong here, good and bad. We're talking about how things in life can get us caught in the flow. You need non-relinquishing faith. When perhaps you're accustomed to being in worship on Sundays, and that's your day of worship, your choice. Perhaps yours is Saturday, or whatever your day of choice is, and all of a sudden you decide, or someone convinces you that, well, you really don't need to visit the Lord's house. For you, that is going to be emotionally challenging. Don't let go of your faith. If you believe it's best for you to be there, guess what? It's best for you to be there. All right? So we have this when it comes to non-relinquishing faith. So non-relinquishing faith is needed again when you're in a clear situation where emotions coming after you, the pain is coming after you. You cannot sidestep the season. There will be some seasons you just can't sidestep. There are some seasons in life you just can't sidestep. And some things, once it's out of the box, out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. You can't recap it. When it happens, it happens. You'll need to be ready then to deal with the emotions with non-relinquishing faith. You've got to still hold on to your faith that God can still turn the situation around. As long as the season is open, God can and just might turn the situation around. All right? We got that? All right. So here we find, again, that we have to learn to be like David. David's hope was in his testimony at the end. In other words, those with non-relinquishing faith find a way to sustain their hope while they're going through the season of emotional distress. They find a way. Okay? David's way he found was to not eat, was to fast, was to pray. For some people, maybe you need to dance. Some you need to sing. Some you need to write. Some you need to attend a conference to hear the preaching of the gospel. Some may need a prophetic word. Some may need to be anointed. Some may need baptism of the Holy Ghost. Some may need water baptism. Some may need fellowship with like believers. Whatever it is, find a way that when you're going through that season of emotional distress, find a way to keep your faith active. People with non-relinquishing faith will find a way to keep their faith active. Okay? So with that, let me give you Revis' definition of non-relinquishing faith. All right? You ready? Here we go. Non-relinquishing faith, and I'm reading from my notes, non-relinquishing faith is faith that refuses to let emotional devastation keep you from moving spiritually forward with God's next phase for your life. Next phase of your life. I'm going to say that again. Non-relinquishing faith is faith that refuses to let emotional devastation keep you from moving forward, moving spiritually forward with God's next phase for your life. There is a next phase that God has for your life, and if you quit now, you're not going to experience it. There was another phase that God had for David's life. David could not quit. He could not afford to quit. Neither can you afford to quit and give up from your faith. Let me just tell you something. See if I can say this as plain as I can. You ready? Emotional stress, emotional devastation, and emotional drama, these things will challenge you to see if you believe. They will have you wondering whether or not you should keep believing. So, when life presses you or gets pressure on you, you need your non-relinquishing faith. When life comes after you and it seems that it ain't fair, and sometimes there will be things that just seem like it's not fair to you, you're going to need non-relinquishing faith. Otherwise, you'll lose it. When life gets very confusing and you just can't figure things out, you need non-relinquishing faith to get you through it. All right? That's what you need. Because there's a lot of emotional drama and will come after you. And it will press you to ask yourself, why did I waste my time believing in God? Well, let me tell you, it is not a waste of your time to keep believing in God. Because just like with David, when the season ended, God was still there to give him a new start. Yes, he's got to live with the residuals from it. He's got to remember that people say, you remember what happened to them? Yes, I remember. Did you see what happened? Yes, I saw it. Live with it. Live through it. Non-relinquishing faith will take you right through it. Get it? All right. So now, in these last few minutes that we have, I want to point out to you 4 things that you want to make sure you note about non-relinquishing faith. All right? To work in or activate or use non-relinquishing faith, okay? Here's how you do it. Number one, be sure about what you truly believe. If you're going to use non-relinquishing faith, you have to be sure about what you truly believe. And I'm talking about sure that you're really sure that you're sure about what you really believe. If you don't really know if you really believe in God, when you come against certain emotional devastation, it's going to throw you over the top. You are not going to be ready for it. So you need to be sure that you truly believe in God. That is something you have to make your mind up about tonight. Are you sure you really believe in God? That's number one. Number two, work the process, not the event. Number two, work the process, not the event. The event was the boy dying. That's out of David's hands. There are some things causing you emotional stress right now that's out of your hand. You can't work the event. You can't control the event. You must learn to work the process. That's why David humbled himself before God. He made sure that he kept contact with God. He made also sure that he did not become selfish. That's what the eating would have represented. He made sure that he didn't become selfish in working the process. Got it? He humbled himself before God. He made sure he stayed in the face of God. He made sure he was not selfish. I'll say that again. All right? He humbled himself before God. He made sure he stayed in the face of God, and he did not become selfish. You can't afford that either. That's how you work the process and not the events. You stay humble in the face of God and make sure you're not selfish. Face of God meant that's why he was praying and fasting. All right? Watch this. Number three, if you're going to work with non-relinquishing faith, you've got to push through the timeline. Push through the time period. Okay? Push through the time period. All right? There's a time period, and you've got to push through that. That's all you can do. There's a period there, and you have to push through it. And the best you can do is hang in there like David did. And keep doing the ones, go back to number two, work the process. So number three is push through the time period. And number four, and this is critical, you're going to have non-relinquishing faith. Respect God's ending to the season. Respect God's ending to the season, no matter how hard it is. If you're a pastor, God may say to you, I'm only going to allow you, yes, you pastor thousands, but now I'm only going to allow you to pastor hundreds. You have to respect that your season of thousands has ended and get on with the business of pastoring your hundreds. You may have once been the greatest songster there is, but something happened in your voice. It was no one's fault. Just life came to see it. You don't have it. Perhaps now you'll write songs and enjoy that others can sing them on your behalf. That's how we respect when God has ended a season. In some of the old historical African-American black churches, many of the pastors had what they called a hoop. And as they got older, people discovered they really couldn't preach and didn't have a word. Listen, when God ends that season of hooping and excitement, you better have a firm word, because one day your physical rhythms may deteriorate, but the word of God will never deteriorate. So respect when God has ended the season, no matter how hard it is. Again, number one, be sure that you believe. Number two, work the process, not the event. Push through the time period. Don't you stop. You push through the time period. And respect God's ending, no matter how hard it is for you to accept. So when time comes, when you cannot have something you really want, or think you've earned, or think you deserve, or think you have a right to. But the season of God says no, even if it's something good for you, then you'll need non-relinquishing faith to get you through it. Because there will come a time when a season will come upon you where what you expected God to give you will not happen. What you expect to come out of it will not happen. That doesn't mean that God is still not God. Don't you lose your faith in those seasons. Non-relinquishing faith tells you that life must go on after each devastating season in your life. Don't let the devastating seasons stop you. God bless you. This is Dr. Anthony Revis, Faith Ministry Church, Midland, Michigan. Have a good evening.